Alright, so here's a little disclaimer. I don't have any footage from the very first Starfighter, seeing I don't own it, and any footage I was finding online wasn't working very well because of iMovie, and I'm not that well skilled with Premiere yet. So we're just going to have to use this footage from Jedi Starfighter. And overall, the Starfighter series, both games are pretty much the same in terms of gameplay, though their plots are obviously different. So the Starfighter series, this is an interesting way that they did a flight sim, because unlike Rogue Squadron, this is a really, really slow flight sim. And I mean slow as in, you don't even really feel like you're even in a flight sim. It almost feels like you're playing like a tower defense game, just because of how the like the spacecraft control, and it just feels like you're just a movable turret that can fire in all directions. And even then, there's really no sense of speed or really anything. Now, in the first game, you play as a Naboo starfighter pilot by the name of Ryze Dalos, and you also play as the Nemoidian, I think they're called, Nemoidian mercenary Nim, and also one of his, I guess you say, accomplices, Vanna. And essentially, the whole plot takes place during Episode 1, whereas in Jedi Starfighter, you play as the Jedi Master Adi Gallia, and also Nim and Reddy also make a return from Starfighter, though Vanna makes a short cameo, though she's not in this game for very long. And ultimately, with the way the game ends, it ultimately ends on a cliffhanger, which we never see Starfighter 3. As for both games, their stories are better than the respective movies they represent, though I seem to prefer the original Starfighter's plot over Jedi Starfighter, mainly because it just seems more interesting, and as well, it just seems that in Jedi Starfighter, there was kind of more promised in it, considering even on the box cover, you see that Mace Windu and Count Dooku are in it, even though Mace Windu only shows up for about about a minute or so in the intro and at the end, whereas Count Dooku only shows up for maybe about 30 seconds in the intro, and that's basically the last of it. The only villain in it is just some complete mercenary he hires to essentially do a bombardment of Geonosis using a weapon of mass destruction, which it's an alright plot, but I mean, it's nothing really to go on. It's, for the most part, not all that interesting, and you may forget a lot of like what the plot was about. Now, as for the games themselves, the biggest problems I have with this game is essentially how it doesn't really feel like a flight sim, and it feels more like you're just a moving turret that can fire in all places. So for me, that was like one of my big complaints with it. The other is also the voice acting is pretty bad, and even at moments it gets pretty cringeworthy. And then finally, the music, at least in Jedi Starfighter, can be really repetitive, and especially the prison break level. You're pretty much going to be better off muting your TV and putting on something else, because that music, I swear, has like a 20-second loop on it. Now, as a final note about these two games, these were actually the first Star Wars games I actually had for a console that wasn't a Nintendo one. Yeah, because I originally gotten the first Starfighter game for the original Xbox, and then I got Jedi Starfighter actually as a birthday present for the PlayStation 2, a console which I had actually no interest in owning, and I wasn't even allowed playing by my older brother. But and the shocker part was that it was actually my older brother who got me that, along with a memory card. I guess at the time he was trying to get me into playing on the PlayStation 2, but that was really the only game I ever owned on it, aside from Simpsons Hit and Run. But it's also a game I no longer have, so I ultimately had to get Jedi Starfighter for the original Xbox, which I'm just more used to that, and I don't own a PlayStation 2 up here. So with that, I'm Matt from Studio 41, and I'm out of here. And next we have our final review for the year of Star Wars, Rogue Squadron 3.